The Stoic way to use social media without losing your mind. You wake up. Before your feet touch the floor, before your eyes fully adjust to morning light, your hand finds the device. The screen illuminates your face in the darkness of the room. And the flood begins. Notifications. Messages. Updates. Opinions. Outrages. Achievements that dwarf your own. Lives that appear more beautiful, more successful, more meaningful than yours. And before you have even begun your day, you are already behind. Already inadequate. Already anxious. Already lost in the infinite scroll that promises connection but delivers comparison, that offers community but creates isolation, that feeds your attention while starving your soul. This is the condition of the modern mind. Not unique to you. Universal. The average person checks their phone 96 times per day. Spends nearly 3 hours daily on social media. Consumes more information in a single morning than a Roman citizen encountered in a lifetime. And yet feels more ignorant, more uncertain, more overwhelmed than ever before. The Stoics would recognize this condition immediately. Not the technology, which they could not have imagined, but the psychology, the distraction, the slavery to external opinion, the loss of internal sovereignty. These are ancient problems wearing modern masks. The suspense builds here. Because the conventional advice about social media is inadequate. Delete the apps. Take a digital detox. Set time limits. Use grayscale. These are not wrong. They are insufficient. They address the symptom, the outward behavior, without touching the cause, the internal need. Why do you reach for the phone? Why do you scroll when you feel empty? Why do you post when you feel invisible? Why do you compare when you feel uncertain? These questions reveal that social media is not the problem. It is the solution. The solution to a need you have not learned to meet internally. The need for validation. The need for distraction. The need for connection. The need for meaning. The Stoics understood these needs with extraordinary clarity. They knew that human beings are social animals. That we crave recognition. That we fear obscurity. That we seek belonging. And they knew that these cravings, when directed outward, toward externals, toward opinion, toward applause, become sources of slavery. Epictetus taught that if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid with regard to external things. Do not wish to be thought to know anything. This is not masochism. This is liberation. The person who does not need the crowd's approval is free to be authentic. The person who does not need the algorithm's validation is free to be present. The person who does not need the likes to feel real is free to be whole. The wholeness is the Stoic goal. Not the elimination of social connection. Not the rejection of technology. But the internal sufficiency that makes external connection optional rather than necessary. The Stoic does not withdraw from the forum. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire. He engaged with thousands daily. He received petitions, heard complaints, made decisions that affected millions. But he did not make his peace contingent on their approval. He wrote that the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Not upon the opinions of others. Not upon their likes or shares or comments. Your thoughts. Your judgments. Your capacity to see clearly. The clarity is what social media destroys. Not intentionally. The platforms are not evil. They are effective. They are designed by brilliant people using behavioral psychology to maximize engagement. To trigger the dopamine hits that keep you scrolling. To create the variable rewards that keep you checking. To exploit the social comparison that keeps you consuming. This is not conspiracy. This is business model. Your attention is the product. Your emotion is the fuel. Your time is the cost. And the cost is staggering. Not just in hours lost. In attention fragmented. In relationships neglected. In creativity diminished. In peace destroyed. The destruction of peace is the deepest cost. Social media creates what the Stoics would call a constant disturbance of impressions. Every post is a potential threat. Every comment is a potential judgment. Every silence is a potential rejection. The mind, bombarded by these impressions, loses its capacity for tranquility. The amygdala fires constantly. The stress hormones circulate continuously. The body remains in low-grade fight or flight from morning to night. And the person, exhausted by this vigilance, mistakes the exhaustion for normal, mistakes the anxiety for personality, mistakes the distraction for life. The Stoic alternative is not asceticism, not complete withdrawal, not the rejection of modern tools. The Stoic alternative is intention. Deliberate, conscious, examined use of technology rather than unconscious, compulsive, habitual consumption. The Stoic asks, before reaching for the phone, what am I seeking? Validation? Distraction? Connection? Information? And then asks, is this the best way to seek it? Will this scrolling satisfy my need, or merely postpone it? Will this posting bring genuine connection, or merely temporary attention? Will this comparison inspire growth, or merely feed inadequacy? The examination reveals uncomfortable truths. That most social media use is emotional avoidance. The escape from boredom. The escape from loneliness. The escape from the difficult work of being present with oneself. The Stoic faces this truth without shame. They acknowledge the need. They acknowledge the avoidance. And they choose differently. Not through willpower. Not through restriction. Through understanding. Through the recognition that the phone is a tool, not a solution. That the scroll is a symptom, not a cure. That the like is a drug, not a connection. The connection the Stoic seeks is genuine. Face to face. Voice to voice. Presence to presence. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. Applied to social media, this means being unlike the distracted, the fragmented, the constantly seeking. Being present. Being whole. Being sufficient unto oneself. This does not mean isolation. It means selectivity. Choosing depth over breadth. Choosing a few meaningful relationships over many superficial ones. Choosing real conversation over digital performance. The performance is the great trap. Social media rewards performance. The curated life. The highlight reel. The carefully constructed image that bears little resemblance to reality. And the person, performing constantly, loses touch with their authentic self. They become the image. They maintain the facade. They measure their worth by the engagement with their performance. The Stoic rejects this. They embrace what Epictetus called the discipline of desire. Wanting what they have. Being content with reality rather than obsessed with appearance. Valuing substance over image. Character over performance. Virtue over virality. The virality is external. Not in your power. You cannot control what spreads. What resonates. What the algorithm favors. The Stoic releases this. They create, express, share from internal motivation. From the desire to contribute. To communicate. To connect. Not from the need for validation. Not from the hunger for attention. Not from the desperation for relevance. And if their contribution spreads, they accept it without attachment. If it does not, they accept that without despair. The outcome belongs to the platform. The effort belongs to them. The effort is what matters. The Stoic brings full attention to what they choose to do. When they engage with social media, they engage deliberately. They set specific intentions, specific time limits, specific purposes. They do not scroll aimlessly. They do not check compulsively. They do not consume endlessly. They use the tool for the task and then release it. This is the discipline of action applied to the digital age. The same discipline Marcus Aurelius brought to ruling an empire. The focus on what is in his power. The release of what is not. The commitment to virtue in every engagement. The engagement with information requires particular care. Social media floods us with data. Opinions. Outrages. Conflicts that do not concern us. Problems we cannot solve. Suffering we cannot alleviate. The Stoic distinguishes between information that serves and information that disturbs. Between knowledge that enables action and knowledge that creates helplessness. between awareness that expands understanding and awareness that contracts peace. Marcus Aurelius wrote that if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. The revocation is the Stoic practice. When the outrage arises, when the comparison stings, when the inadequacy gnaws, the Stoic pauses. They examine the impression. Is this in my power? The event is not. The opinion is not. The trend is not. My response is. My attention is. My next action is. And they choose to redirect. To release. To return to what is theirs. Their work. Their relationships. Their present moment. Their internal peace. This is not ignorance. Not avoidance of reality. It is the strategic allocation of limited attention to what can be influenced. The influence is small. The Stoic knows this. They do not expect to change the world through posts, to solve problems through shares, to create justice through comments. They know that real influence comes from real action, from presence in real community, from effort in real work, from virtue in real life. Social media, for the Stoic, is a tool for communication, not a substitute for action. A means of connection, not an end in itself. A platform for expression, not a stage for performance. The performance anxiety is what the Stoic dissolves. The fear of posting. The fear of silence. The fear of being unseen, unheard, unvalued. These fears are natural. They are ancient. The Stoic does not eliminate them. They transcend them. By recognizing that worth is not determined by engagement. That value is not measured by reach. That meaning is not created by visibility. These are externals. Not in your power. Your effort is in your power. Your intention is in your power. Your virtue is in your power. And these, practiced consistently, create a life of genuine significance. Significance that needs no algorithm to validate it. The validation the Stoic seeks is internal. The quiet knowledge that they have acted well. That they have spoken truth. That they have contributed genuinely. This validation does not fluctuate with likes. It does not disappear with silence. It does not diminish with time. It is the stable foundation of self-worth that makes external opinion irrelevant. Not because the Stoic is arrogant. Because the Stoic is secure. Secure in their own judgment. Secure in their own standards. Secure in their own capacity to assess their effort. The effort assessment is daily. The Stoic reviews their engagement with social media as they review all their actions. Where did I scroll aimlessly? Where did I compare destructively? Where did I perform inauthentically? Where did I allow external opinion to disturb my peace? This examination is not self-flagellation. It is self-improvement. The recognition that each day is practice. Each interaction is training. Each choice is a vote for the person they are becoming. And the person they are becoming is someone who uses technology without being used by it. Who connects digitally without being disconnected from reality. Who shares online without losing themselves offline. The offline self is the true self. The self that exists in silence. In solitude. In the absence of audience. The Stoic cultivates this self deliberately. Through meditation. Through reading. Through reflection. Through the difficult work of being present with one's own thoughts. This cultivation creates the internal richness that makes external validation unnecessary. The person who is full does not hunger for likes. The person who is connected does not thirst for followers. The person who is meaningful does not ache for virality. The virality is fleeting. The Stoic knows this. What trends today is forgotten tomorrow. What provokes today bores tomorrow. What entertains today distracts tomorrow. The only constant is the internal. The only lasting is the virtuous. The only meaningful is the genuine. And so the Stoic invests in what lasts. In character. In relationships. In work. In presence. These are not glamorous. They do not trend. They do not accumulate engagement. But they accumulate something far more valuable. Peace. Purpose. The capacity to meet life with clarity and courage. The courage to disconnect is the final Stoic practice. Not permanently, not absolutely, but regularly, deliberately. To create spaces of absence. Days without posting. Hours without checking. Moments without the device. These absences are not punishments. They are restorations. The restoration of attention. The restoration of presence. The restoration of the capacity to be alone without being lonely. To be silent without being empty. To be unseen without being worthless. These restorations build the resilience that makes social media manageable. That makes it a tool rather than a trap. The trap is real. The Stoic does not deny it. They acknowledge the power of the platforms, the sophistication of the design, the genuine risk of addiction, of distraction, of psychological harm. But they refuse to be victims. They take responsibility for their engagement. They set boundaries. They create friction. They make the unconscious conscious. And in this consciousness, they reclaim sovereignty. The sovereignty of attention. The sovereignty of time. The sovereignty of mind. The only sovereignty that truly matters. If this resonated, subscribe. This channel exists to bridge ancient wisdom with modern practice. To build unshakable minds for an unstable digital world. To help you use technology without being used by it. Next week, we explore the Stoic response to information overload. How to know what matters in an age of infinite data. Rise as a Stoic.